Good morning to the Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, Telems Tel TV Plus Channel 15, respective radio stations island-wide and online viewers. I'm Rolika Roach and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, the Honorable Dr. Anders Rudolph Samuel, to address you. Minister Samuel, you have the floor.
Good morning. Thank you, Ms. Roach, and good morning to Prime Minister. Good morning to the members of the media, and definitely a blessed day to the people of St. Martin. It's on green. Today, I want to share a few notices to the public via this medium, and I won't be there for questioning today because I have to be in Parliament at 11, so I would leave to complete that journey. In regards to the school busing, which we have been hearing about in the media and discussing, I want to inform the public that we are in communication, and with we, I mean the School Busing Association and the minister. We are in communication with each other to follow up on some points that needs further elaboration. The school busing situation and the new contract has various aspects to it, and I have explained in the media other aspects, and today I want to show the people that one of the important things about getting the school busing service regulated has to also do with confidence of parents to put their children on the school bus. If this confidence is good, if it is restored, because I know a lot of parents want to put their children on the bus, if this confidence is bestowed, then one of the things that we would see is that more children would use the school busing service. And then you would have less vehicles going up in that area. Something that will help the community. We know that the fleet tracking service, which is the equipment that we are about to put on the bus, will give us information in regards to the behavior of the children on the bus, but it will also give information to parents as to where their child could possibly be at a certain time, because we will also be tracking where the bus is riding and where the bus stopped and what happened. So this service is a very necessary service, and it is something that government has been working on a good while now. I would also like to remind the public that the 11th of November is close by. It's a couple of weeks away, and a month, 11th of November, we got the month of October, and also then we have 11th of November. I am bringing this to you early because I would like the public to realize that the celebrations will be taking place on this side of St. Martin this year. So the celebrations will be taking place on the Dutch side. So start to prepare, get your flags ready, get your costumes ready, and as time progresses, more information will be brought to you regarding the celebration and the festivities for St. Martin's Day. One of the other items that have been queried is the date for the FBE exit exams, and I can share with you that I have made a proposal to the school boards and also the Windward Islands Teachers Union. That information came back this week, and I am finalizing the position on that tomorrow, so I cannot give you that final today. With this, I would like to thank you, and I will go over to leading. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Samuel, for your opening remarks. As mentioned, Minister Samuel will be departing the press briefing due to preparations for the parliamentary meeting to be held at 11 a.m. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Prime Minister. Oh, you'd like to ask a question? Okay, so we're going to allow a question from Minister Samuel before he departs. Bibi Hatshaw, Vestament News, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika. Good morning, colleagues. Minister Samuel, nice seeing you today. Can you tell us how do you intend to finance the tracking system that you want to put on school buses?
The fleet tracking system is financed through money that we reserve on the budget for that. So that money is there, and we have already sent out the bid for the equipment. And when that comes in, then we can place the equipment on the buses.
At the moment, Minister, can you tell us if the buses are being paid per trips or per child?
There are two ways that the buses are being used. You have the regular school busing system that carries the children from district to school, and you also have a school busing service that would take children on field trips and also, let's say, to swimming or to sports. And both of them are paid differently. One is paid per child, and the other one is paid per bus. Per trip. All at one is paid per trip, not per bus. Any other questions?
I would now like to invite Stephen Cerulean of PJDT Radio. You have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Minister, interestingly, you spoke of budget being allocated for the bus and tracking system. Approximately how much has been reserved for that purpose?
There is a capital investment that is reserved. I think it's 500,000 guilders. 500,000 guilders.
Thank you.
And who is contracted to provide in the bus tracking system to the government of St. Martin?
I don't know the name of the person that is contracted. I know that the department is busy with the bid, and when I do get the name of the person that has won the bid to put the equipment on the bus, I can make that information available to the public.
Thank you, Minister Samuel. Thank you, members of the media. Minister Samuel, we do wish you a pleasant day and successful meeting in the House of Parliament. I would now like to invite the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, Severi Jacobs Sojesu. Prime Minister Jacobs, you have the floor.
Good morning to you. Good morning to my colleague, Minister. Also wishing you much success in Parliament. Good morning to the members of the media here present, and of course, the support staff of Department of Communications. Good morning and a blessed day to the people of St. Martin and all tuned in to this briefing this morning. This morning I want to, give my gratitude to be able to return to the island. First of all, I was gone for a full week in representing St. Martin at the United Nations General Assembly, and it's always, I thank God for traveling mercies. You're always, that's a risk every time you get up in a plane, every time you get out of your house, as a matter of fact. And so I give thanks for a new day and to be back on island, to be able to handle the work of the people in person. Of course, I want to start the announcements this morning by giving my condolences to the family and friends of the late Dorothy Laveist. It was a shock to learn of her passing, and I wish the family and friends much strength. Also from within the Dutch Quarter community, Mrs. Hull has also passed, and that is one of the reasons I will have to leave a bit early as well today, to be able to pay my respects to the family. And all those still suffering the loss of loved ones. I may not know all by name, or may not have caught up as yet with all by name, but do know that our prayers are with you for strength during this difficult time. Know that you have the support of family and friends as well as this government during this difficult time. To go back to the UNGA, the General Assembly that was held in New York is High Level Week. It's held every September. I was blessed to be able to attend for the first time in person last year. Prior to that, they had been on COVID lockdown, so it was more of a virtual and then a very small one in 2021, but 22 and 23, they have been moving back to normal, let's say. And so it was an honor for me to represent St. Martin at that level, because you are in the room as a small island nation with the big hitters, such as within the kingdom itself, but also just globally, meeting with leaders from Africa, from the continent, meeting with leaders from within the Caribbean region, as well as Europe, Eastern Europe, America, Canada, name it. So it was really a global conference whereby we were able to touch on the important things and the focus. And I believe the best part for St. Martin was to be able to really bring to the global and international community the realities of St. Martin as a small island state, not independent, but within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Most times, in fact, before last year, it was only Netherlands written on the placard. And I remember last year getting a lot of flack when pictures were circulated of me sitting behind the Netherlands nameplate. But that is the way it was registered at the UN, and they did assure me that it would be fixed for the next one. Was on the nameplate, and when I was there as St. Martin was on the nameplate. We still have to work on the spelling, but in any case, I know who I am and I know who I represent, and so I'm proud to have been able to do that. As a small island developing state, being in a place where we're talking about the challenges the world faces, it also put things in perspective. I don't think we stand still to realize that in some places we are doing better than other places in the Caribbean region, and other areas of our development we are far behind. And we can chalk that up to our historical past. We can chalk it up to the colonial period. We can also chalk it up to the fact that we were part of a Netherlands Antilles where we were not in charge of our own activities, and the responsibilities did not lie fully with St. Martin. It is only since 10-10-10, so a mere 13 years ago, come October 10 this year, that we can say that we have been taking care of our own responsibilities. As such, I really wanted to highlight that the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, which have been the goals of the world since 2015 in terms of attaining no poverty, no hunger, good health care, quality education, gender equality, and I can go down the line, but especially the ones that relate to climate, which is SDG 13, and life above, below water 14, and above land 15, have been the focus of our National Development Vision. We are working towards those goals for 2030, but it is alarming at such a large world stage to learn that we are only, as a globe, as a world, 15% in the attainment of the goals. Not St. Martin, the whole world. So some are further ahead, some are further behind, but as a small island developing state, the onus, especially on the brunt, created the constant refrain from all entities, including United Nations entities like the OHR LLS, which focuses on SIDS and other least developed countries, that there must be a different way to assist the smaller countries to be able to achieve these goals. So it was good to be there, even as part of the kingdom, which are donors, to show the vulnerabilities that still exist within the kingdom between the Curacao, Aruba, and St. Martin, as well as the best islands. So opportunities to become, let's say, eligible to is there, and I hope that in moving forward we'll make takeaway was being able to speak at the youth forum and be able to inspire youth. You don't stop to think that, we have the cliche, the youth are our future. Then they are not part of it and they feel disconnected. So it's also something we need to ensure that is felt across the board here. I know our youth council and other organizations do a good job, and that is something I could share with the General Assembly. And last but not least, I must say that gender equality. I was able to meet with several other female leaders, and we are still in the minority on the global stage, even though in St. Martin it might seem that we have more equality. It's not across the board, and we also have to work on that here in St. Martin. So ensuring that we can be, we had to have access to financing programs, not have to redo research that has already been done that relate to us as small island states was part of what, you know, that opportunity was. And I'm very happy with the connections we made, and I look forward to sharing that information with the relevant ministries so that we can tangibly move forward, as well as continue dialogue within the kingdom, who is also now recognizing that we have multidimensional vulnerabilities. So it is not just for climate, but all other issues that small islands face, and that we should be looked at differently. That will also impact, for instance, the fact that something that was strongly said there, that there can be no climate justice without reparatory justice. And that is something that definitely needs to be highlighted within the kingdom as we continue with our talks as it regards that. More on that as the weeks follow, and for more information, you can also follow the Facebook page, Prime Minister of St. Martin, and the government of St. Martin for further information as to what was tackled there. I also want to thank the organizers and participants of last night's town hall meeting on electoral reform. It was a goal of me as General Affairs Minister to be able to have more of these. And after last night, we still have to figure out a way to do a couple more within the communities, as the turnout was lower than we'd expected. We really want to hear from the public. It was moderated by Makisha Brooks of the St. Martin Development Fund and featured guest speakers, Mr. Richard Gibson Sr., Dr. Anders Linda Richardson, Mr. Julio Romney, and Ms. Natalie Tackling, head of the Main Voting Bureau. Dr. Linda Richardson in her former role as electoral council member, one of the founding or first members. It brought along a lot of good dialogue from the population, from the professionals in the field, as well as from some of the members of parliament and others who are politically inclined that were in the room. But we want to continue to have dialogue within the community because we believe, for me, important education of the population, and that fits perfectly in with SDG 4, is important. We must continue to promote lifelong learning, so that as things change within our community, people are aware of the whys, the whats, and the hows, and what impact their vote has on the future development of St. Martin. So I encourage the population of St. Martin to watch the video when it comes out on Department of Communications, the Martin Gov page, and we will promote that so that you have the opportunity to look, listen, give your feedback, and look out for further engagements with the public. As an educated population is an empowered population to make an empowered decision moving forward. This weekend, as I'd mentioned before, on Friday, September 29th, Suicide Prevention Awareness Lantern Light will be hosted by Men's Mental Health Foundation. We are collaborating. I am collaborating together with my team with this very important, I believe, statements that will be made. It is from 8 to 9 at Great Bay Beach. I do invite all and encourage the public, especially the youth, to take part and support this initiative as we collaborate to help spread awareness for this worthy cause. Also on that day is the Pink Walk, as you know, the Breast Cancer Awareness Walk. I encourage many of us in government as well as within the community will be participating as usual to show our solidarity. September month was prostate cancer awareness, and this coming month, October, is always breast cancer. But so many other things come up in October that we have to highlight. And I just ask people to remain aware, remain positive, especially as we know that there are many still dealing with these terrible diseases, non-communicable diseases that are ravaging the communities and the world. I'd like to remind also that the Civil Registry is inviting eligible voters to ensure on Saturday, October 7th, that you may visit the Civil Registry office on Saturday, October 7th and 14th at the government building. So that's the first and second Saturday in October. profiles and ensure that your registrations are correct so that you can receive your voting cards. Again, this is a call to update your address, update your name and or marital status, and that's what is required within our civil registry to continue to update by law. Also, your voting status, and also to update whether a family member has passed away abroad. Of course, a death certificate will be needed to deregister such a person from the registry to avoid them receiving a voting card in the mail. Of course, you must present valid identification and as well as some type of a utility bill for agreement to prove their address so that you can be properly registered in our basic administration. If documents also need to be legalized and or translated, ensure you have those on hand so that you do not have to do the proverbial go and come back. Also, we're carrying out walk-in services this Saturday, Saturday 16, that happened already, and Saturday the 30th, so this Saturday. Also between 9 and 12 a.m. to have your ID cards renewed. 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., so during the morning hours, to renew your ID card. So without an appointment, you can do walk-ins this Saturday. Make sure you have your fees with you for IDs, 45 guilders, and if it has been lost, it's 70 guilders. I would like to, lastly, Relika, address the continued negative comments that are getting a lot of air within our social media. People need to, I believe, I had a very good discussion. I was asked to be a guest speaker at the Rotary on Monday evening, which was a very good experience for me to sit with young professionals as well as seniors who are in Rotary and some visitors from the Lions Club as well, showing great collaboration between the service clubs and St. Martin. And they asked me to speak because of Literacy Month on building a literate nation. And for me, that was a very important topic. And I want to share with the public of St. Martin via this medium, the press briefing, that educating yourself and this being able to discern between truth and falsehoods is a very important skill to learn. Many people, not only that, you look at who is saying what and what is the motive, what is the intention. Is it just to break down? Is it because they didn't get what they want? And what do we say about ourselves when we support that kind of a discussion? Because as I said a couple of weeks ago, today for me, tomorrow for you, and we all have family members. It is very unfortunate that, yes, the political field has become what it is. In a time when we are recruiting new people to join this foray, it is a very discouraging thing that is happening. Are you willing, are people, young people, or even other professionals willing to put themselves in the middle of this type of a battle that anybody can say anything they want in the name of politics? I think we need to assess ourselves. There is a code of ethics that should be upheld at all times. And I think the four-way test that the Rotaries use is a good one to share with the public of St. Martin. The 4 questions, and sometimes when you drive around, you see it. The first is it the truth? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Does it build goodwill and friendships? I would say, does it build good relationships? And the last is, I have a Rotary in the room. Will it be beneficial for all concerned? Will it be beneficial for all concerned to tear down the leaders in your country? Especially when it is not based on truth? Again, the road to walk, if you have allegations of wrongdoing, is the prosecutor's office. The road to walk for us who are being constantly slandered is also a legal trajectory, which I will not hesitate to follow. Persons must be cognizant that the things you say have impact. People who do not know the difference may believe you might be making a joke, but it is not funny when it impacts the lives of people, and we live in a very small society. We talk about bullying at the school level. I consider this bullying at the adult level. And I would like to also speak to the persons who feel they can just repeat those words. And then it goes to our culture and our mindset of melee. So the things that have, a lot of people are saying it's like Trump, right? He's just echoing the sentiments of the community. So if that is what our community is, people sitting in their homes, in their offices, in their cars, thinking the worst of everyone, based on whatever experience you may have, then we have a very sad society. But I would like to see that mindset change. We are what we say we are, and I believe that this country is bigger and better than slandering each other, calling each other names, and doing these negative things and thinking that that looks good. What you do not want your children to do, or what you do not want done to you and yours, you should not do to others. That is the rule by which I try to live, and I can stand in my integrity, and I can stand against allegations that I know are untrue. And attacking family members, for me, is really going way below what is acceptable. All of it is unacceptable, especially when it is not true. There's a road to walk, and it's straight to the prosecutor's office. Ensure that you walk with your evidence. With that being said, Rolika, I am open for a few questions, as I do want to pay my respects at the funeral. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to welcome and invite the Honorable Minister of Finance, Artwell Edion, to address you. Minister Edion, you have the floor.
Good morning, Rolika. Good morning, Prime Minister. Good morning to the media. Good morning to the people of St. Martin. Firstly, as today I have a meeting in Parliament concerning ENYA. We've also, I believe since yesterday, sent out a press release giving an update to the public. But this morning, I'd also like to provide the general public with a concise update on the ongoing situation. This situation has a significant implications for the policyholders and the economies of both Curaçao and St. Martin. In essence, I'll start with the problem. The core issue at hand is a substantial capital shortage at ENYA, which, left unresolved, would require substantial reductions in pensions for about 30,000 policyholders. This would have severe social and economic repercussions. The key stakeholders in this matter it's crucial to understand that a solution can be reached with the agreement of all relevant parties, Curaçao, St. Martin, the Central Bank of Curaçao and St. Martin, and the Netherlands. The policyholders reside in Curaçao and St. Martin. The Netherlands has expressed willingness to provide a capital injection subject to approval from its second chamber, which I believe was approved yesterday. Regarding negotiations, technical level negotiations have been taking place involving Curaçao, St. Martin, the technical committee from ENYA, Central Bank, the Ministry of Interior and Kingdom Relations, the Dutch Central Bank, and the Ministry of Finance of the Netherlands. These negotiations acknowledge the need of intervention due to ENYA's capital shortfall. The reaching of an agreement. At the technical level, an outline agreement has been reached stipulating that ENYA will undergo a solvent restart with a substantial capital injection. This solution has been deemed financially sound and realistic by experts. Confirmation is needed. However, this agreement still requires confirmation at the ministerial level and is subject to the approval of the 2024 budget by the representatives of Parliament. A major concern is that Curaçao's debt to GDP ratio will increase significantly, possibly exceeding the interest burden norm of the Kingdom Act Financial Supervision Curaçao and St. Martin, which is the EDFT. This could jeopardize the capital investment loans. I also like to state St. Martin is not in the same position. Our debt to GDP ratio would top out at 55%, which is way less than Curaçao's close to 100%. The annual loan and the impact on the budget. The refinancing of COVID-19 liquidity loans for St. Martin is contingent upon the resolution of the ENYA situation with binding terms to be signed by October 15th, 2023. The budget impact. The impact on the national budget can only be precisely determined once the loans are agreed upon. St. Martin, for its part, will on lend to receive loans from the Netherlands through a capital injection to Enya. The loan will in principle be mirrored from the Netherlands to St. Martin and from St. Martin to Enya, meaning that the interest St. Martin has to pay to the Netherlands will in principle be the same interest Enya has to pay to St. Martin. And the government's intentions, the deadline extension, which I mentioned just now, the refinance offers condition requiring the resolution of Enya's situation and the signing of the term sheets by September 30th, 2023 has been extended to October 15th, 2023. In conclusion, the Enya situation is a complex issue with far-reaching implications for policyholders and the fiscal stability of both countries. All parties are committed to finding a resolution. As I mentioned before, today I believe at 2 o'clock we go to Parliament and we will further discuss this topic in Parliament. On a more positive note, the Ministry is thrilled to announce that we have secured a 2023 capital investments for St. Martin. These, as I've mentioned before, especially Mr. Cyrilian has asked this question a few times, I believe, for my whole term in regarding capital investment and how important these are for the country. We've not had capital investments since 2014, so investments in infrastructure and buildings. So I'm happy to announce that we have done our part. We said that we will have a balanced budget, we will have capital investments in this budget, and we will secure the loans, which we have now. It has been approved in both chambers in the Netherlands yesterday, the 26th, and now we have started the process of having the Netherlands send the loans over to the central bank where we could start the projects. The journey was long. Obtaining the capital investments has been challenging, with the successful allocation of funds occurring last, as I mentioned before, in 2014. Recognizing the importance of securing funding for vital investments, we initiated a comprehensive reform process. We enhanced transparency, accountability, and substantiation of investment proposals through three steps: proper explanations in the budget for clarity, the future impact on the budgets, accurate disclosure of future expenses in multi-year budgets, so not just that year itself, but how it impacts the budgets in the future budgets, which is also important. That was not done in the past. Justification, so the support for investments with comprehensive calculations or quotes. In the past, we've gotten a lot of ideas, a lot of concepts, but to be put in the budget, and then they will have no kind of data to substantiate why this project, how much it will cost, how we get it done, and so forth. So we made sure that all of this, every ministry had to provide concepts. Some didn't make it because they didn't have the proper documentation to support. The CFT scrutiny, the capital investments portion underwent thorough scrutiny by the CFT, receiving a positive advice. The loan adjustments, the capital investments loan process underwent adjustments, leading to some delays due to approval requirements by the Netherlands. So even in the Netherlands, the process also changed. Like I mentioned before it would be done on a ministerial level, and this time it also had to be approved by both chambers in the Netherlands because it also affected their budget of money going out. Projects that are coming on board with this investment would be, I know for sure, one is the Raoul Village, the track and the football field, the Dutch Quarter Road development, the sewage network expansion. Trying to get all the projects, the tax system, all the main roads, and the side roads project. The shade for Dr. Martin Luther King Playground, sport facilities renovations, John Lumley Center and Fitzburg Culture Center expansion, improved software for hardware for various departments, ICT, so computers, laptops, software, road surfacing projects, and the sewage network expansion. So this was, again, a very, very critical exercise for us for the Ministry of Finance to be able to support all other ministries with their projects. And we're proud, again, that we actually accomplished this. And we're looking forward to the ministries putting together, expediting their processes so we can have these projects done this year. That'd be all, Relaika.
Thank you, Minister Edion, for your opening remarks. If you've just joined us, you are watching the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, September 27, 2023. Thank you for joining us. We now move on to the question and answer session, and Jacqueline Hoffman of the Daily Herald, you have the floor.
Thank you, Laika. Good morning, Prime Minister. Good morning, Minister Erion, colleagues. Prime Minister, what is the government doing to support those that have lost their life savings in buying a home in Carbon Grove? And for those residents that are living there, what is being done to mitigate the imminent risk of a landslide due to construction without retaining walls and dangerous hillside excavations? And would these people be able to get a connection for electricity so that the environment there is more safe, seeing that there was a robbery at the home, because it is
As well, unfortunately, I cannot say what government will be able to do. This was in litigation, and therefore the persons responsible would have to replenish that. Imminent landslides and the like, I will follow up with the Ministry of ROMI, and as it relates to the connections with GEB, etc., I can only follow up again with NVGEB, but I do not have any personal or any answer from a government perspective on this. This has been something that has been litigated in the courts of law, and then the verdict is what will determine who's responsible to pay back what. As government, where it comes to inspection of construction sites, from what I can understand and what I've been updated on, the process was followed as it relates to that. And if anything still needs to be done, I am sure that the inspectorate at the Ministry of ROMI will do its due diligence.
Thank you, Prime Minister, and thank you, Jacqueline. As Bibi and Stephen both had their first questions, we will now move on to the second round. Bibi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Relaika. Prime Minister, 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, I asked you about the status of the Secretary Generals, how many are acting in acting position and how many were screened. Can you please follow up on that for me? And Minister of Finance, can you, Minister, tell us how much did you secure in loans for these projects? And also, if you can tell the what type of products are being worked on for the EDC projects, and when would these be rolled out? EDC, the Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you for your question. The amount of loans are 60 point something million guilders. So I don't have the exact figure, I believe it's 60.5 million guilders. EDC doesn't fall under me. EDC falls under the Ministry of TIAT, so I'm not privy to these projects. I know EDC was recently approved by the Council of Ministers. The board has been initiated. I believe a director has also been hired. And so we're also looking forward to the plans of the board and the management for the future of the EDC.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Thank you, Bibi. Jacqueline, you have the floor.
Thank you. Prime Minister, how would residents know that they're not drinking water with elevated chlorine above 4 milligrams per liter? And why is this chlorine actually added to the water? Is that due to the old pipe system, or has to do with the quality of the seawater where that is converted into drinking water? What is the situation at GB?
Thank you for that question. We were recently updated. Unfortunately, the Minister of VSR didn't make it to the press briefing, but I know it was intention to be here. And he is the one that is having the discussions with NVGB. He updated the council yesterday that they have been testing and retesting the water to ensure, and they will follow up once they have received the final results. I'm not able to divulge the reasons why, but it is something that is done on a daily basis, the testing of our water by NVGB, but I believe they've also brought in a third party to do counter testing to determine what may be the cause or what will be the reason or how it's being alleviated. But I know that the water has been deemed, as far as was updated, to be fit for drinking at this time and use. So any further updates will be given by the Minister of VSR.
Oh, Prime Minister.
One more thing, I remember the SGs. I did not, as I had traveled, I didn't check into it, but I know for sure one SG is finalized, one earlier this year, and two are in process to be finalized before the end of this year.
Good morning to you, Prime Minister. And in fact, the high-level political forum at the UN, you had the opportunity to hold discussions with the Secretary General of CARICOM, that's Dr. Carla Burnett. Can you give us an idea as to the nature of your discussions with this lady?
Yes, thank you. Indeed, that was a very good bilateral discussion. It was basically to touch base to ensure that the process could still continue for our associate membership, also to test whether we could be, we call that two holders, observers. That is not possible. So we are just forwarding on to become associate members. So that, of course, requires us having it on our budget, which, of course, since COVID pandemic had been removed. That's the last stage. So that is close to being realized. But I must also mention that I was able to have a very Director General, and that also shows very good promise for St. Martin. Assistance, collaboration, and partnerships for the goals that we require as a SIDS. I thought you were going to ask about a secretary. Important meeting as 4 prime ministers and state secretary and the other ministers from the Netherlands that were there. We met with the United Nations General Assembly Secretary General, Mr. Guterres. He is actually a former Prime Minister of Portugal. And in a meeting that we had earlier that day, the Cape Verdean Prime Minister, which is a small island with a bilateral agreement, had highlighted that they were able to go to a debt swap situation where Portugal forgave some of their debt so that they were able to make the necessary investments in their development, which SG Guterres brought forth to our Prime Minister, to the Prime Minister of the Kingdom, the Netherlands, Mr. Rutte, as well. As you know, we in the Kingdom have that discussion, as Minister was talking about the loans just now, and we feel that as SIDS, going through the development, we need to have more funds available to build up, for instance, a disaster risk fund, to be able to plan better for disasters and to invest in development that is needed for this country. Of course, a lot will rely on us actually getting those projects and programs ready. But if we can start to have that discussion about debt swap initiatives, which SIDS as multi-dimensional vulnerable states, so you have to look at more than one thing than just GDP assistance we need. That was good to hear on that level of discussion being said to discussions, part and parcel of the directionality, even though it's an at the moment, to get the ball rolling, that they see our small islands as needing assistance and not more debt. So all 3 of those discussions at that level gave me hope that moving forward we'll be able to have more opportunities for St. Martin to develop at a faster pace. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, and thank you, Stephen. Prime Minister, unfortunately, Prime Minister does have to leave, and we will wish her a pleasant day moving forward. We now move on to the 3rd and final round. Phoebe, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika. Minister Irian, can you tell us exactly when do you expect to take the 2024 budget to Parliament?
A week or 2 ago from Mr. Cyrilian. We are in the process of Enya, so once we get that, we'll be able to finalize. The budget basically is done minus that those figures, and then it'll be sent on.
Thank you, Minister Irian. Thank you, Bibi. Jacqueline, you have the floor.
Thank you. Growth situation the people, the investors are in. Are the discussions going to be going forward with the central bank about the supervising role of the central bank, seeing that St. Martin invested in real estate and have send down payments straight to bank accounts at WIP and other local banks, which should have gone through escrow, and those are all things that the central bank should supervise. So what is the supervising role for the central bank exactly for Sint Maarten? And what influence can government have in enforcing better supervision?
Okay, so I think you had a couple of questions. First of all, the Enya situation and the Carbon Grove situation are two different situations. And the Carbon Grove situation is more of a private situation. I think that's also what the legal said. And I think on the government part, I think maybe we could do more on educating the population and regarding on how these processes go. For example, you don't send anyone in any real estate purchase more than 10% of the down payment. That's by law. So there are a lot of, I believe, misinformation, or even I would say even disinformation regarding that real estate project. And on top of that, I would like to also make it very, very clear that, because I saw, and I'll call his maybe not call his name, but I saw something going around from Mr. Stefan Carbon, and I believe selling homes to the same victims. Meant that myself, Doran, and Prime Minister have to do with this project from Carbon Grove. I have to make it very, very, very clear. We have absolutely nothing to do with this project. I've never invested. I've never been part of this project. I personally had my own concerns with this project before I was even a member of parliament or a minister. So I'd like to make it very, very clear to the population that, because I have also discussed with both Prime Minister and Minister Doran, if they have any, because otherwise I speak for myself, if they had also had anything to do with the project, relations with this project, nothing to do with this project, and I for sure, and I think it's unfortunate what happened, or what is happening. I saw some government, we could do more on educating the population and also maybe foreign on the process of purchasing. And also, I'd like to say, guys, if it looks too good to be true, more than likely it is. All right, there's no 150% return on investment and 200% return on investments in a year. Those things don't exist. There's no free money in this world. So if it looks too good to be true, more than likely it is. And those were the, for lack of better words, schemes that drew people in, and I can understand why, for the gains, the possible future gains. But those things don't exist. There's no, otherwise everybody would be invested in projects that give you back 100% every year. So, I always learned from my grandmother, if it sounds too good to be true, trust your gut is more than likely not good. Requiring, yes, I think I answered that question.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Thank you, Jacqueline. Stephen, you have the final question.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. And of course, Minister, the issue of Enya will be discussed in Parliament today. But based on the situation as is, the Dutch government has decided to make some 600 million euros available to Curaçao and St. Martin. Curaçao has a bigger share of the problem of Enya. According to reports from Curaçao, the Prime Minister there has refused to at least address this to parliamentarians on that island. What kind of discussion, if any, has there been between you and your colleague Finance Minister of Curaçao based on the Enya saga situation?
Yes, so obviously, like you mentioned, Curaçao has the biggest share, about 90%, which also affects them way differently than it affects Sint Maarten. Especially in capital investment loans. And this will allow us to be able to invest for the first time properly since 2014. I can understand if that ability or affordability to invest in the future of Sint Maarten for the next 20 years was affected by this loan. I could imagine us being in that same discussion, right? On do we take on this loan? How does it affect our future investments? We have been, for this whole period, busy discussing with our counterparts on a technical level, including Central Bank, including the Netherlands, up until I believe last week or this week. So it's a constant discussion. I believe we have positioned ourselves in the best possible scenario for St. Martin. We have positioned ourselves for that. And now we are awaiting for Curacao to make their decision. But for us, we have positioned ourselves in the best possible scenario regarding the loan for St. Martin. Of course, there are discussions regarding reparations and slavery past, sorry, not slavery, but reparations, to make it clear, reparations. But I think that any situation is different from, let's say, the liquidity loans. I still believe the liquidity loans are items that the land should have just forgiven due to the COVID situation. I still believe in that. But at the end of the day, we have an agreement and we have to fight for the best possible scenario with the position we have, while we continue to fight for reparations or debt forgiveness or debt swaps. We can't just not negotiate. That's not how government works. You negotiate the best possible scenario while you continue to fight for the other items. So yes, I do believe that we are going to still continue to fight for reparations. I was just updated by Prime Minister a couple of days ago regarding this debt swap for climate change. That's also a possibility that we can continue to fight for. Especially, like I mentioned, the COVID loans. That's an external shock that the whole world experienced, and other islands, other countries were given grants. So I also believe that that's something we should continue to fight for. And it's I think it's almost unrealistic to believe that all politics is local. The Netherlands has elections coming up in November. Their focus is their people at this point in time. So we will continue negotiations, right? I mean, from now up until after elections. And yes, in any situation, like I mentioned, we have our portion. We have the best possible deal regarding that, and we're looking forward to finalizing soon to also give some assurance to the policyholders.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Thank you, Stephen. Members of the media viewing and listening public, this does bring us to the end of the question and answer session. Members of the media, any further questions can be sent to the Minister's Cabinet in writing. Honorable Minister of Finance, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, September 27, 2023. For rebroadcast, tune into St. Martin Gov Radio via 107.9 FM, Telem Tel TV Plus Channel 15, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, and YouTube channel Government of St. Martin. For video on demand, log on to the Government of St. Martin's YouTube channel. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Rolika Roach and wishing you a pleasant day further.